Hey, it's mRandom 101, and this time around I actually have an art book haul with none other than the wonderful Mud and Sludge art book from Dorohedoro by Kyu Hayashida. This Mud and Sludge and the Kyu Hayashida is kind of like indented, so yeah, that's an interesting texture. And then you have like these drops, which are embossed. I guess that's the right term. And they're shiny, they're quite interesting to the touch. The ink is like this really bright silver. Really cool. Okay. On the spine, we have the embossed Mud and Sludge. And on the back, nothing too fancy. All right, this is definitely my favorite art book from my collection. And there are a decent amount of reasons why. Let me try to show this off. The first color page has this interesting texture to it. All right. The first volume cover. Well, this is basically how the first volume cover was made. So Kyu Hayashida even in an interview mentioned that she just likes to get creative. She just makes these kind of like arts and crafts projects with all kinds of like different materials, and then through editing they get combined with the illustration. And at the end of the video I will make a montage kind of like comparing a before and after of how the volume covers were made, so that should be fun. And I will do my best to kind of like flip through this, not too slow. Okay, this is like a very prototype looking version of Kaimen. It has a completely different texture style to the paper. And this is something that this art book likes to do. Just every once in a while, it changes things up. It plays around with your expectations, and the type of paper that is used just switches completely, kind of like unexpectedly. It's quite something. You know, this series went on for 18 years, so a very nice amount of color illustrations piled up. And I just love all of them. I really like Kyu Hayashida's style. I mentioned this in my previous Dorohedoro video as well. In the afterword from volume 23, Kyu Hayashida, the author, mentioned she works alone, so all of the stuff was just made by her. Only her. No assistants, no nothing. That's just kind of mind-blowing, to be honest. All right. This basically has everything you could think of when it comes to just color illustrations in general from Dorohedoro. This book has, let's see, 342 or like 43 pages. It is quite hefty. There's a lot of great stuff in here. If you are a big fan of Dorohedoro, I would say this is kind of a must-get. You will definitely get a lot of enjoyment out of this. I just love flipping through this. Okay, I mentioned how this is my favorite art book, and that there are a couple of reasons why. Firstly, it's just very creative and ambitious for just an art book. Rather than, just being a regular art book, it decides to be quite an experience, unlike any other art book I've really had before. That might sound kind of unusual or weird, but I really mean it. When I flip through this art book, I really kind of am brought into the world of Dorohedoro. Firstly, you know how books and new books, they tend to have a ink smell. Well, In the case of Dorohedoro, it has this very specific, unique smell, and this is by design definitely. Whenever I just open up the art book, there is also like this smell aspect of the ink, and it just further draws me into the experience of enjoying this and all of the illustrations. It's really amazing. And also, it just plays around with different paper textures, as I mentioned. Like, as you can see here, let me flip the view. This has a kind of like glossy page format for these black and white illustrations. Okay, goodness gracious. I'm doing my best. Sorry. There you go. This is awkward. Okay. And I only really appreciated this art book fully, like over time, because at first I didn't actually fully understand, or let's just say that I didn't notice the small detail of like the smell, for example. Only after like going back to the art book again and again, I noticed that I just associated the smell of this ink with the art book, with Dorohedoro, with the experience of flipping through this art book. It's really fascinating. This paper right here has a texture where it kind of just grips your fingers. I don't know if I should call it sticky, but it's interesting. Okay. Another reason why this is one of my favorite art books, well, of course, just the illustrations. I just love all of Gyuhai Shida's work. All of this is just phenomenal, and just having it in this collected art book is more than I could have ever like wanted. It's everything I could have ever wanted, really. I was hoping that there would be something like this, and my goodness, did they deliver, like in Japan. The editorial department, everyone. I very much like appreciate this. Okay, moving on. Back to some more awesome stuff. Okay, we are at page 113, so I think the progress is decent. Not sure if you can see here, but like this seems to be some kind of like a material, like fabric. It has paint over it. Okay, the very wholesome, awesome illustration. Let's just try to somewhat get a better shot of that. Okay. This one's fun. All of these illustrations I love. As I mentioned, at the end of the video, I will have a montage where I kind of just show a before and after of the actual finished covers and, you know, the process of making them, basically. I love him and his design. I mentioned this before. Man, just so many great illustrations. Whenever the texture of the paper changes again, I will try to let you know. I was so distracted with just like flipping through and having fun with this that maybe I even missed one of the different textures of paper, but you know what? It is what it is. More of these black and white, kind of like glossy illustrations. Okay. I think some of these are from calendars and stuff like that. So yeah, and other places. Basically, there just is a lot of Dorohedoro stuff that we had to just shove in here. Okay. Back to business. Sorry for the silence. I'm just, having a good time here, flipping through, enjoying the illustrations. Okay, here's obviously a change in the texture. This is like kind of like a manuscript style type of thing, very thin paper, and you just have this sketched out style of the process of kind of making things into the finalized product. And I guess this is a good opportunity for me to mention that there actually is another Dorohedoro Artbook, which released in 2020. I feel like a lot of people don't know about that one. I will try to insert some pictures on the screen. It is basically called the Dorohedoro Sketchbook, and I think it has even more pages than this art book. It's just filled to the brim with all of Q Hayashida's just sketchbooks for Dorohedoro, for like ideas for Dorohedoro. It's really cool looking. I really want to have it in my collection, but it only released as an art exhibition exclusive item. In 2020, like due to the anime and stuff like that, there was an art exposition in Japan for Dorohedoro. You could only get this art book from the website for that exposition or something like that, or just by going to the actual event. So you can imagine that getting that art book is not going to be easy. You're either going to have to get it from places like Amazon, eBay, Mercari, or you're going to have to hunt it down on Japanese auction sites, or you're going to have to use like a proxy. I want to get it at some point. I'm not sure when, but I do know it's going to be a pain and it's probably going to be expensive. I will try linking some details about the art book in the description if you want to like look it up. Maybe I'll even put in some links just to help you out if you're really curious about it. And let's just move on. Okay. Ooh, these are cool. Again, like the smell is really interesting. I really have kind of become detached to it. It's just like an ink smell, but it's distinctive. And obviously, through the camera, you can't really feel it or enjoy it. But yeah, if you ever get your hand on this art book, then I feel like it's something that you will eventually notice. I'm not sure, maybe the texture of the paper here has already changed because some of the changes are more subtle. It's like a somewhat softer paper and it's not as textured, but yeah, anyway. Some more of these black and white illustrations on the side here. Okay. Oh my god, and pumpkins. I just love Halloween. I really do. Just like the whole aesthetic of Halloween. And in many ways, I feel like this manga kind of does captivate that. Not really, but you know what I mean if you've read this series. Okay. All right. Oh my god, this is such a cool illustration. Like, man. And it's just so big that the editorial team, whoever made this, they had to just put the other half on here because it didn't fit, which is fine. Well, obviously, I don't think I need to mention it, but the colors for this are very vivid and wonderful to look at. Okay, here is N just being a top Husvano and very hot. Oh my goodness. Moving aside. Here we have some kind of an announcement or whatever. Okay. Okay, the texture of the paper here has definitely changed. I would say it's like shinier, glossier a little bit. It's subtle, but when you flip through it, it stands out. I love pumpkin so much, and I love Kaiman, and this is super cool. Yes, I've mentioned it before, but I really love Chidaruma's design. It's just so cool. And of course, that's not the only cool design from this really awesome cast of characters, but yeah. I mentioned in my previous video, I wouldn't mind putting something like this up on my wall, even if it's kind of messed up, but I don't know, it just looks so cool. Oh, back to the black and white stuff. Sorry for all of the noises, but you know, the book is just dragging around on the surface here. Now we have some sketches. Again, on a different type of paper. This is like more thin and soft to the touch. Not sure if sketches is the right term. It is definitely like on the sketch side, but I guess it's more of like a design concept or a design sheet in many ways for reference. Okay. Okay, we are actually getting closer to the end of the art book and the end of the series. Here the paper is again kind of like a different texture to what it was before, I think. Okay. We still have a little bit to go. Hopefully you have been enjoying this. I definitely have. Wholesome. Okay. And here again, another change up of the paper style. This time it's like a more yellow tint, or yeah, it's definitely on the yellowish side. Interesting. You know, thinking about it, the series was supposed to end multiple times, but the author kind of was like, hey, actually, there's more that I want to do. So yeah, in the end, I'm really happy with how the story played out and how things finished off. This is, I think, from like the character guidebook. There's also like another special Dorohedoro book that released when the series finished, or somewhere around then, or after it finished. I don't have that in my collection. They never properly reprinted it. I think this is the cover for it. Maybe I'll get that one day. It's nothing, you know, super high priority, but yeah. Here's like a crossover promo for Die Dark. This is, I think, the cover for the sketchbook. Then you have this, which probably is from like the art expo. Here's like a list of all of the stuff. All the stuff being like, well, what each page represents, you know, the origin, the source. Kaimen, Hayashida. And that's it. All right. It was quite a struggle to get my hands on this art book, since I ordered it like 2 to 3 times before on Honto, when they still used to do international shipping type of stuff, and they never managed to get my volume. Then finally it got reprinted properly. I managed to get my hands on it, and then they reprinted the art book another 1 to 2 times, so this has been a very successful book, and it makes me very happy. All right, I almost forgot. I guess I should mention kind of like the size of the book itself. This is an A4 sheet of paper. This is the book. And so you get a basic idea. I guess we'll just do this. So this is published in a B5 format, slightly smaller than an A4 piece of paper. And here is just a volume from Dorohedoro. Also, just so you can compare. This is published in an A5 format. And I guess some finishing thoughts about this. The experience of reading this art book has different layers. Like the art book itself, this is an art book that is designed to play around with your senses. Your sense of touch, your sense of smell. You will be also like visually delighted by the illustrations. It's a really fun experience, and I would recommend this art book for sure. Thanks for watching the video in advance. Now I will just add the montage where I compare like the before and after shots of the finished covers with, I guess, the process of making them. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. See ya, bye.